So this is the last part of our video, and here I'll be showing how something like the demo, which is what we've just seen, can be applied to technical pre-sales sessions, and how I do technical pre-sales. Now, in general, I really like to use something like a flip chart or a whiteboard because of the degree of interactivity that this offers. Things like PowerPoint I'll use, but what PowerPoint is great for doing is for presenting static items, things like a roadmap, presentations, slides. The thing that you cannot do with PowerPoint, which you can do in a whiteboard session, is to be interactive with the customer and essentially provide a kind of a mini consulting session. Of course, heavily biased towards Vidiator products because that's what we're selling. So something like this could start off in any number of different ways. An existing customer may already have a deployment, you might already have some diagrams and things like that. A good example might be a completely new customer, and let's take an example. Say especially people like broadcasters who don't necessarily have that same pedigree and experience of delivering to multiple devices as a carrier would. And so you might start off with whiteboarding in an interactive way. And as discussed before in this video, when we talk about the three aspects of getting a video onto a mobile device, with the creation, which is to encode, or the encoding, the delivery aspect, and the playback. And so that kind of sets the scene, and then you start to consult and you find out what kind of audio sources or video sources they may have. It could be the case that a customer already has some kind of capability to create video. This is especially true for customers who, for example, have an IPTV solution in place. So you may find that there is already the possibility to have something like, say, an MPEG-2 transport stream or something along those lines. And then you start to sketch out which Vidiator components are necessary. Here, for example, it would be XLE, the Xenon Live Encoder, which can go and take an input. Now, they've just seen Xenon Live Encoder. You can, of course, elaborate that this can take a variety of different sources. Let's say something like even a video camera, which is exactly what you've just showed them. So, next stage, the delivery. What do you want to deliver to? It's often helpful if you kind of find out the target devices. Could well be that the customer wants to deliver to an iPhone, perhaps an iPad or a tablet device. Perhaps they also have a need for delivering to traditional RTSP phones and so forth. And then you start to sketch out how this all falls into place. They know what they want to deliver to, they know what it is that they've got as inputs perhaps, and then you start to draw out all the Xenon components. So something perhaps in this case like XSM and XDM. Here, for example, for creating the chunks and fragments, and this for delivering them. And then you begin to draw out how these kind of devices may make an HTTP request into here. And then how would you go and then expand that architecture? How would you then manage to deliver using something like Xenon Streaming Server to RTSP devices? So you begin to build up this kind of interactive architecture. Now it's good to treat this as a conversation. I always do this. It's not so much about me talking at the customer, but me discussing with the customer. And at these stages we might, for example, look at external systems or billing systems or CMSs and things, and you might want to sketch those out. For example, here you've got a billing system. Note that I'm using different colours. I try to come prepared and bring a number of different coloured whiteboard markers with me. You cannot always rely that the customer has whiteboard markers, let alone a whiteboard sometimes. But then here you might, for example, look at how a deployment like this, how you could deploy, say, XSB, Xenon Service Broker, in order to go and interact with the billing system. Now, great things are with these kinds of discussions is that you can change them. You can, for example, discuss with the customer how will you deploy it, use different colours. Is this going to be on one machine, or is this going to be on two machines? Is this going to be somewhere else? What about things like network infrastructure? Where are the firewalls? And so at the end of the day, what you've got after something like this, after this kind of an interactive session, is you've got essentially an initial architecture built up using Xenon components, which is very powerful. The other thing is that you've done is you've made that connection between what you've just drawn, the theory on the whiteboard, and what you've demonstrated to them using the demo that you've just seen. These kinds of things are no longer just boxes with a couple of 3 letters inside of them. They're actually things that they've seen working. And they can see, yes, I've seen this camera working, I've seen this actually delivering stuff to live, and so therefore I can see how something else might do the trick, how this might work. So I think personally this is a great way of interacting with the customer. It's biased towards Xenon, and it gives them that kind of initial consulting session and that confidence that this is carrier grade performance, that this is going to do the trick and do the job for them.